What's up? What's up? How we doing, fellas? First off,
Good.
First off, I'm gonna do my shameless plug a little bit later, but we have the unofficial episode. We'll call this episode 0 for now, but this is the Spoken Numbers show, where a group of fellas from Brooklyn, well, one is excommunicated involuntarily to Pittsburgh, myself, talk shop about, basketball.
Mr. Scott.
I'm Malcolm, Scotty Mac, producer, film enthusiast, sports enthusiast, Nets fan, Giants fan. That's all I gotta say.
Cool. Seppi, what you got for us?
Seppi. My full name is Giuseppe, but everybody calls me Seps because, I can't have the G because there's too many G niggas.
Too many G's in the team.
But yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, Flatbush, you already know. I'm a fashion enthusiast and, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. As far as like NBA, but NBA, I honestly just have favorite players. I don't have like a team. Nah, I'm definitely riding the Brooklyn Nets bagwack. I ain't gonna hold. But
Cool. And who do we have over here?
All right, well, I'm Jamal, aka Stretch Stacks, as you see.
And where else would they know you from, Jamal?
They would know me from Twitter, at I'm Stretch Stacks on Twitter.
I remember now. That is you.
I'm Stretch Stacks on Twitter. You may have seen a tweet of mine or two. I'm not gonna get too deep on that, but I'm also from Brooklyn, music producer, big sports enthusiast, football, New York Giants, basketball. I do rep the Brooklyn Nets because that's the home team, but big LeBron fan, so go Lakers.
Well, I guess we have me, right? I said a whole lot of nothing in the beginning. I tend to do that from time to time. I ramble. But I'll give you the short and sweet version. So it's Rick, Kingzo Rick, Showtime Rick, King Showtime, Dodo. I go by many, different like names. But D-Wade's my favorite player. Then, started watching basketball a little bit more. Like fell in love with LeBron's game, his passing ability, and I enjoyed the battles between him and Carmelo, him and Kobe, rest in peace Kobe, him and D-Wade, etc. So that's really what drove. I like competitive nature of it, so that's what drove that. And as far as just a little bit about me, I do jujitsu on the side. I love chess. I love sports in general. Talking about sports, talking shop. So. Without further ado, what's on the agenda, guys?
Well, we already know we're in the midst of the NBA Finals. And it got me to thinking, with the past 2 games being such, exciting games, where would we rank this in the finals lore of like the last 10? Yeah, we'll go with the last 10 years from, I would say, the Heat's first championship run. Well, not a championship run, finals run to now.
Okay, so
start it off. Like, I want me to start off.
It doesn't matter. Volunteer, you'll be voluntold.
I could run this down. Me personally, I would say this is probably for me, maybe the 6th, maybe the 5th. And I'm gonna base that on. As I said earlier, I'm a LeBron fan, so I definitely have to put a couple of those wins that LeBron got up there towards the top. So we're talking about 12-13 with the Heat. We're talking about 11-12 with the Heat. 15-16 with the Cavs. And last year with the Lakers, 19-20 was decent. It just wasn't as big of a hit for me because there were no fans in the stands. It wasn't the same. It was a different feeling. But for the most part, the gameplay was pretty good. And so, yeah, I would kind of fit it in around 5 or 6, maybe even 7. in my top 10.
Interesting.
So you're saying that 2011 to 2012 was a better finals than 2019 between the Raptors and Warriors?
No. I mean, for me personally, yes.
It's just from your bias, really. Was it 4-1?
No. Yeah, but not so much because of the fact of who was playing, because that honestly that finals was pretty much the only finals in the last 10 years that I had no interest in based on who was playing, which was the Raptors versus Warriors. But it wasn't based on the fact of the quality; it was because of the injuries. So Klay Thompson was out, and also KD got injured during that finals, and that was it right there. At least when you had KD, you had some sort of competitive spirit to it. But two of your best three players are gone. You can't really make a fight for that. So
okay, I see. And you have it as this year's finals as 5 or 6.
All right, like middle of the pack, pretty much.
So what would your grade be? Not your ranking now. What would your grade be?
If I had to grade this,
like A, B, C, D, E, F.
I'd actually give it like a B plus, because initially after watching the first 2 games and how the Suns came out and pretty much did what they felt like they wanted to do and dominated, I thought it might lead to more being a 5-game series, maybe even a sweep. But the Bucks, they dug their heels in when they got back home, and they fought back. They came back punching. They did 3 straight, and now we're on game match. They have a chance to win the title in the next game. So kudos to them. They made sure that they had their heads on tight, and they did what they were supposed to do. So now we have to see if the Suns can hold serve.
Well, Seppi, you want to go, or should I go?
Yeah.
Or Malcolm, you could go.
I could go. Cause just thinking back, I mean, I've always been a huge Dirk Nowitzki fan, and that 2011 finals to me was just for me just because I honestly the way Dirk played in that series after they made fun of him for the flu. He was just on a whole.
I forgot about that narrative.
He just turned up and was like, "Nah, I'm winning all these games." Literally right after that, for me, is just the 2016 finals with LeBron. Just because, I mean, I did not think they stood a chance because this Golden State Warriors. What was their record? 73-9
that year.
73-9. So the fact that they came back and not to mention that roster for the Cavs wasn't that strong for them to really do something like that. I mean, with Kyrie and LeBron scoring how they were scoring at that game, I'm not surprised. Right after that, for me, would definitely have to be Heat versus Spurs, 2013. That to me was a really good series. And then for me, where this series falls for Phoenix Suns, yeah, I would say this was top 5 because honestly, even though I've watched only the game, I watched up to game 3, and I watched the highlights for game 5, and honestly, I regret that I was in DC because game 5 was really fucking
it was lit.
Yeah, it was just, and then I think what made it good is because people that stepped up, I wasn't expecting to step up in a big way, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton's really making me eat my words, and I really.
We'll save that. We'll save that for later.
But yeah, I would say this is top 5 for me, and just because it's up there with all the other finals that I've watched. But yeah, I'll pass the floor to you, Cardo.
Cool. So for me, it's number 3. And here's my rationale behind why it's number 3. So the first one I have is 2012-2013 Heat Spurs, just because of the gravity of it. If LeBron loses that series, we're probably talking about him a little bit differently than, we are now. And maybe his trajectory is a little bit different. You have the Ray Allen clutch shot, the greatest clutch shot in NBA history. I don't think that can be disputed, really, because of the gravity of it in Game 6. If he misses that, Spurs win the series. So it had everything you really wanted. Granted, first game, Spurs won 92-88, and off that Tony Parker like push shot, I think it was. It was just yeah, exactly. You're just petty, but yeah, it had everything you want from blowouts to back and forth. It had every range of emotion you want to see in an NBA playoff series. So that, to me, bar none, is number one. Number two is 2015-16 due to the fact of the comeback. I thought the Warriors had it after Game 4. They went up 3-1, and pretty much I think the entire world thought like, yo, Bron's about to lose to these niggas again. Granted, 15, you could say like, injuries, played a big part, but you can't, like, now that you're healthy, you can't lose to these niggas. And sure enough, Kyrie, I know, like, granted, LeBron deserved Finals MVP. He did his thing, and I'm a big LeBron proponent. But Kyrie came through, and Clay had the clamps, but it didn't even matter. Like, Kyrie did whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. Like, they had no answer for him. And then the reason I have this 2021 Finals as number 3 is because it's fresh, and it's the most unexpected like finals outcome coming into the playoffs, right? So we all expected Nets Lakers or Nets Clippers or some version of that, but injuries play a big role, and this was the hand that we were dealt, granted. But at the same time, it mirrors a little bit of the Spurs Heat a little bit when Spurs had all the momentum after Game 5, came back to Miami for Game 6, and that game's crazy. So going into at the time that we're recording it after Game 5. So going into Game 6, I think it may, be like that. It may go to Game 7. I picked the Bucks to win in 6 or 7, and I'm standing by that. And it's just going to be interesting to see the CP3 narratives and all that. So narratives, just the playoff intensity, back and forth, holding serve at home court and stuff like that, clutch play, like the Giannis sequence last night where Giannis had 2 back-to-back defining moments in the playoffs thus far in his first playoff run. Like, I mean, finals run. He had the block on Ayton to, save the game. And he had the sick alley-oop. Like, it is just, the sequence was just insane. I haven't seen a sequence like that in terms of intensity of the moment since the 2016 LeBron chase down on $80. So for me, I'd say it's top 3 due to the freshness. It's fresh, unique, and stuff like that. And then as a grade, I'm giving it, as a standalone. And then, as far as, I haven't said this, but I rate the Dirk, finals win. I found that very impressive just because of the run he had to the finals. He went through the Lakers. He went to the Blazers, the Lakers, the Thunder, and the Heat. And granted, a lot of people put it on LeBron for choking, and he did choke. But at the same time, that doesn't take anything away from what Dirk did in that playoff run itself. So I know that's a little bit biased. It's not grading the final itself. But, I'd say that's 4th after this. But going back to the Bucks Suns, I give this so far an A- of a series just because of it's not what you have role players. That's normally the story, role players stepping up, to make a name for themselves. Mikal Bridges had a game. Crowder had a couple games where he was like 4 or 5, 6 threes. He was just knocking down his money. It's just like things like that. And then granted, Drew Holiday's inconsistency, sometimes that plays the storyline because, there's the bounce back narrative. CP3s, what does the magnitude of maybe losing to this and it's his best chance. So like all these stories baked in and just everything, I'd give it an A-.
Sure. Sylvia, I don't know if I got your grade.
For this grade?
Yeah.
I give it an A. I think like just with Drew, Middleton, and Giannis just really forming like a big 3. Like, I think for me, it's just seeing their progress, like, through the playoffs. Like, Chris Middleton, to me, went from, like a
Chris Mid.
Yeah, Chris Mid, like, midi Chris. I thought he was a solid 3 option kind of dude, but he honestly is playing like a number 2. And Drew Holiday is actually playing that role that they really truly believe that he could be. The only thing is just like if they win, it's just like, damn, Coach Bud over here is just gonna look like a good coach.
That was my next point that you took, but I'll let you have that.
It is what it is. But I honestly like with the Suns too. I was just thinking about it, like damn, like Devin Booker is just playing like his heart out. I mean, I know with Chris, there's some injuries that's bothering him because like I remember, I don't know which game was it. It was like Suns home when there was like taping his wrist along with his hands.
Yeah, I think it was game 2.
Yeah, so I know Chris is like dealing with some serious injuries, which
he said he had a torn ligament after. Sorry, not to interrupt you, but after the Clippers series, didn't he say he had like he tore like ligaments on his shooting? Sorry, go ahead.
Nah, yeah, but yeah, I mean, thanks for throwing that in there because I definitely didn't know what was going on with his hand. I just know that it's definitely affecting his shooting
and his handles too. It's not as crisp as it usually is.
Yeah, especially game 4 where he was just fumbling. I'm like, Chris, what's going on? He was just losing the ball. And yeah, so it just sucks. Like every time Chris gets this close, he always get hampers with injuries, and it's just.
It was almost like that in the first round too.
Yes, yeah.
He got blessed because the AD curse hit. So I would say, let me just give the grade first. I'll agree with you, Carter. I'll give this. I don't know if you said an A or A minus, but I'll give this
A minus. I gave it an A minus.
Yeah, I would give this an A, and I think this might go down as one of the most underrated finals. Like as we go, like you said, the freshness makes you feel A, but I'm not sure if obviously we know this is not the finals nobody wanted to see. So that's one. 2, it's like it's gonna be like the finals of like Rick Barry's Warriors versus whoever they played in 1975. Or the Bill Walton led Trailblazers in '77. It's like,
right.
We know you got it,
but
we don't really care that you got it based off of like
your
everything.
Competition and
and
it's
unfair, but that's how history is, especially in sports history. Is like it has to be like sometimes you forget some of the Jordan finals. You just know, these are the rings he got. So like it's underrated. Now I personally would put, when we go to the rankings of the finals, I will put 2011 in my top 5, just because of we're just coming off of the decision. LeBron and D Wade and Bosh in the finals. It's a foregone conclusion. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. like you feel like it's over, especially after game 1. It was looking quiet. And in game 2, in the process of game 2, because I remember specifically Stretch Stacks sitting in the basement with me, watching this game, cheering and clapping. And me and our partner who's not here right now, G. We were sitting there, it ain't over yet. In the last 7 minutes, closeout, done. And then people like to give, and I give Dirk all the credit in the world, because that playoff run was legendary. And he'll always get, like, he'll be obviously a Hall of Famer, but that playoff run is like one of the top 10 playoff runs of all time. But people forget Jason Terry wilding. People forget Deshaun Stevenson wilding.
Yep,
People forget Jason Kidd wilding.
Peja Stojakovic even cooking.
David Pereira.
Yeah. So like it wasn't just Dirk, like, because I remember there was some games, especially when Dirk did get a cold or the flu or whatever he had, Jason Terry picked it up. Deshaun Stevenson picked it up.
Yeah.
So I will put that up there in my top 5. I will probably put this as, maybe depending on how the series goes, subject to change, I will have this right now as 3 or 4. Like I will have the 2016 finals in my top 5. I wouldn't rank it as high. One, because I'm not really a Bron fan, and I was a fan. But not even just because of that. Like if we look back, a lot of the games were blowouts, so it wasn't an enjoyable series to watch the way this one was, and the way the Heat and the Mavs were, because there weren't as many blowouts. So, like each game felt competitive, and that's why I like this one. These last like 3 games have felt do or die. Anybody can take it, and so far the Bucks have been the one to grab onto it, and that's why I feel like this has been enjoyable. And a lot of people still don't watch it because I know the ratings for Game 5 were bad. But that's one of the best finals games that I've watched, especially the sequence you were talking about, Cardo, where they ain't called timeout, and here comes Drew Holiday with the strip. Oh, pass it up.
Fouled him, but it's the finals. You're not gonna get that call.
It's the finals. I didn't see it foul. It was clean.
He had the wrist. So that's not front. That's not front.
I'm chose the Suns to win, so I'm not.
I'm not blaming the refs for not calling, but that was a foul. Like in the regular season or even in the early rounds, that's a foul.
And that's a disadvantage to a lot of the players because everybody can acknowledge that, regular season calls are different than playoff calls. Whereas like you basically get us used to this all season. And then y'all just ratchet the shit up to where, this not working no more. Oh, this my bread and butter. But it's also like to the players as well, this is gonna come. So you need to get your game up and be ready for this as well. So I would have this as under the 2013 finals. I would put that in my number 2 because I remember vividly in the group chat, Cardo, back in 2013. I think Seppi, you were in the group chat. Oh, it's over. It's over. Game 6, quiet.
Yeah.
I'm talking.
You was.
Cuckoo.
You was. And then Rihanna was like, oh, okay, I got something for you.
Oh, and I was upset. And in Game 7, I was even more upset.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man!
You know what I respect about Nuss? He's like an honest Bron hater. Like he admits, like yo.
I'll admit when LeBron wild out, and I'll admit when y'all giving too much credit. So, and like that 2020, I think Jamal, you put 2020 up there in your top 5. That's in my bottom tier. That finals was not fun to watch, especially with the injuries where even though I feel like the Heat were going to lose regardless and they were already handicapped, I was like, I'm not watching this, bro. Like this is not an enjoyable final. Same thing with the 2012 and I'm going to be honest, I'm a Steph fan, but 2017 and 2018, it was fun for me to watch. But I know it was about
we know. Yeah, we know.
Foregone conclusions. And I feel like with like the 2016, that's in my top 5, but I would put it probably as 4 or 5. As like, I was enjoying it. I was hurt, but it felt. It was still like Game 7 was still a fun ass game to watch. Like,
Game 7. I think
those last 5 minutes was.
I think
that was you were pulling your hair out. You could definitely pull your hair out.
I think
same thing I felt like about the 2010 finals too, because I'm a big Kobe fan as well. I love Kobe, and I remember Jamal remembers this too. He was talking trash for Game 6 and 7.
No. I was talking crazy after KG hit that shot that didn't count. I thought it was an and one. You know the shot I'm talking about where he got hacked. And he still made the shot, but it didn't count. I'm like, okay, these niggas in trouble. And then Meta World Peace hits the 3. Pau Gasol, they should have called it a foul because he came down on the shot. He came down on the shot, but they didn't call it, so whatever.
If they didn't call it, it ain't a call.
So that's what I'm saying. You can't use the ref excuse for 2012 because exactly you could do that.
That's why I said it was a terribly officiated game both ways, but I feel like it favored the Heat. But it is what it is.
But
I watched it and I saw what I saw, and I'm like, nah, this ain't it.
Say that series after series, so that's why I don't really use like refs as like a crutch, because you could always like go back and nitpick like certain games that was just egregious.
I feel like this series has been a sus officiated game on both sides too.
Oh yeah,
like absolutely. Game 4 was they were wowing. If the Bucks lost that game, I'd have been like, But that D-Book shouldn't have been playing for like the last 3 minutes of that game.
Yeah, he literally he had 8 fouls, 8 or 9 fouls. I'm like, yo, what is this?
I chose the Suns to win, and I'm being honest, like, yo.
Refs had money on the game.
Oh yeah. But it's been fun to watch because, like Seppi said, everybody's been on point. Like Seppi said, seeing that growth from where they were getting smoked in Game 2 against the Nets to now, and granted, injuries do play a part in where they are, but they've capitalized off of every situation they needed. You can only play who's in front of you, so I'm not gonna knock. Like, we know what we know, but I'm not gonna take that away from you at the same time.
Right. Same thing I said in 2015. Same thing I said in 2019. Like, if health, but you could always make that argument.
Yeah. So I'm just, and also these are not two main players in the NBA. It's gonna be fun to see somebody who, if the Suns win, they've never won a championship, and to see a team who's won a championship when Kareem's name was still Lou Alcindor finally win a championship. Yep, that's cool. We new blood.
Right.
That's fun. Granted, casual fans would be like, Milwaukee versus Phoenix. I'm not feeling this. And I get it. But there's still good players. Like you said, the Mikal Bridges game, and you had the Drew Holiday game yesterday.
Cam Johnson game 1 was like, he was hustling.
Yeah, so there's been, like, it hasn't just been, star versus star. It's been an even good basketball on both sides with little nitpicks here and there. Coach Bud is not a good coach, and I end my.
I've always held that sentiment. But before we get out of here, we'll do a segment that Seppi actually came up with called I'll Eat My Words, and we'll just go real quick. So Seppi, since it was your brainchild, why don't you start us off?
Honestly, I owe Chris Middleton, whatever his middle name is, a fucking apology. That boy is hoping, and I am so sorry for even, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I never really liked Chris Middleton for a couple of years because I just felt like, to me, at first, the way I looked at the Bucks, I always thought of it as like Giannis being like a B- LeBron, and Middleton was like a Mo Williams. Like, he was just...
Oh, that's disrespectful.
Like, he was just thriving off of like Giannis getting double teamed, and when like you'll see Giannis just throwing the ball, and then Chris Middleton's open. But honestly, just really watching him carefully in the playoffs, like, he's really like a solid number 2, and in some situations he's really the number 1 guy. Because I feel like if Middleton is not shooting, if he's not scoring over 20 points, they're not winning.
He's the barometer, basically.
That was game 2.
Yeah. Like, if he's just not scoring, and if he's just not getting going, like, it's over. Giannis could do whatever he wants, score 40, 50, it don't matter. Like, they really need him to step up. And he's really done that. And I eat my words for that, 100%. Like,
cool.
Got all that.
Ness, you're
up. Yeah, I'll say for the whole Buck squad. Yeah, I remember I said I had very disparaging remarks about Drew Holiday, Pat Connaughton, everyone, really, basically all the role players on the Bucks. And I'm still a Nets fan, so I'm still gonna say if we was healthy,
if KD's toes wasn't on the line,
and that as well. So that's 2 qualifiers right there. But y'all take advantage of it, and y'all actually played better these last 2 rounds, especially this round, than y'all played against the Nets.
Yes, so
that's
what it is.
So I give y'all credit for it. Y'all win the shit. Congratulations to y'all. I don't have no asterisks on y'all championship the way some people would have.
My words to eat would basically be about the series in general. Like, I called the Suns to come out and win 5 or 6 initially. After the first 2 games, it was looking like it was right on track, and game 3 hit, and as I mentioned earlier, the Bucks dug in their heels. So kudos to them. I mean, there's obviously still a chance they may lose this series, but it's definitely not looking like that. How it's trending right now, it's looking like they have all the momentum, and they feel like they have each game in their hands. So even when they go down 10, 15, 20 points, they feel like they can still come back, and that's dangerous. So, while there's still a possibility anything can happen, of course, I feel like it's going to go to the Bucks, and kudos to them, because to me, it didn't look like it was going to be a series at all. So shout out to them.
I'd have to side with Jamal. I didn't like trash it to the extent that he did the series, but I did, think that, all right, either way, do folks really care? And then, much to my delightful surprise, it turned out to be a really good series either way. So, on that, I apologize to both the Suns and the Bucks organizations. And, I know that's a cop-out, but yeah, I'm sorry. But you guys can find me at Showtime Rick on Twitter and King Showtime on IG with a 0 instead of an O. And I also have my own personal, this is the shameless plug, my own personal YouTube show called I Want to Vent, so check that out.
Yeah, you can find me Instagram at beammeupscottymac and on Twitter at scottymac92 instead of an O. It's a 0. And I'll pass it off to you, Seth.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram _GWilson_. You know how I'm bumming. That's it.
Yeah, and as I said before, at I'm Stretch Stacks on Twitter. Also, if you want to check out my Instagram, it is at somegoodlookingguy. No letters, no spaces, nothing crazy.
Cool. And with that being said, it was a good first episode. I liked hanging out with my fellas. And yeah, with that being said, till next time, we are out of here.
Peace.
Mr. Scott.